What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Brutal Planet Comics. I'm your host, Dre the Brew Daniels, and welcome to another episode of the Indie Corner, where I sit down and talk to everybody in the indies community. Writers, artists, directors, producers, doesn't matter. If you're in the game, I want to talk to you. So today we got somebody coming from the West Coast once again in California. He is the author and producer of Daemonic. Definitely want to get more info on that. Give it up, everybody, for Tyler Walton.
Yo, what's up, Dre?
What?
Yo, thank you so much for having me, bro.
Yo, I'm glad you're here. What is going on with you, my friend? It's so good to meet you in person, face to face, digital face to face, but face to face all the same. How are you?
Good, man. Let me just rub a little sleep out of my eyes. A little early on the West Coast here, but no, man. I'm excited to be on. Love what you're doing here. So this is an honor to be a part of this, man. I really appreciate this.
Oh, the honor is all mine. Make no mistake, the honor is all mine. So just to get things started, let's just get to know you a little bit. Sure. Who you are, where you're from, the whole 9 yards. Just lay it down on us.
Yeah. My name's Tyler. I'm a television producer from Los Angeles. I was actually born in Alaska, but I grew up in LA. So that's kind of a little fun fact. I would jump back and forth until I was like about 18. So, I got a little, at least a little countryside in me, not just a city slicker, but no, I've been working in reality television for the past 10 years, and counting. And, I kind of just love comics. I've always loved comics since a kid, and I know that kind of segues into the next question, but I just had to dip my foot into the water, so to speak.
Okay. So let's touch on, before we get to the comics, let's talk about the film producing. We got a big wig on our hands. So what projects have you been a part of?
Oh, I actually deal with mainly like food competition and food travel shows. So I've done stuff like Guys Grocery Games, Tournament of Champions, Iron Chef Gauntlet.
No way.
Southern and Hungry. I was on Restaurant Impossible Revisited. And then I did some other stuff like Ellen's Next Top Designer.
Oh my goodness.
So, I've been all over the place, and it's fun. I mean, in LA, you kind of fall into the industry. You don't even try to, and all of a sudden you have a job working in the industry, and it's just like that's kind of life out here. But wow. I wouldn't change it for the world. I love it. Like I said, amazing. My passion is comics, for sure.
That's interesting. Like, so you're out there making films and TV shows. That is dope. Look, if you need somebody on a food competition, you know who to holler at.
That's right.
Go and give me a call. You need me on to, I don't know, eat some vegetables or something. Holler at me. I'll fly out there. That would be dope. I'd love to do it. Put something else on my acting credit. I'll take it.
Right.
That's great, man.
Let's get you on. If you know how to make a souffle, I want to see you, bro.
Uh-oh. Let me put my chef's hat. Take my do-rag off. Get my chef's hat on. All right, that's bro. What's up. That is really cool. So, all right. Yeah. So you're in Hollywood. Oh, you're in Hollywood, California?
Yeah. I mean, Hollywood's a loosely used term. I mean, the technical area of Hollywood, I used to live there. I don't live there anymore. It's a little too crazy for me. But, so I moved to a nice and more relaxed part of town. But, people use that interchangeably with just Los Angeles in general. So okay. I'll accept it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool beans. But that's what's up. So you're working on your passions. You're working in the industry. So how did we get into the comic industry? How did we start transitioning into that?
Yeah, man. So, growing up, like I said, I've just always been into comics, but primarily like Japanese content. So,
manga.
It started off with anime, Dragon Ball Z, Inuyasha, Yu Yu Hakusho, all that kind of stuff. And then I transitioned. I just, started wanting more. And I was like, well, what's the next step here? So naturally it was manga, Naruto, Gantz, Full Metal Alchemist, all that kind of stuff. And then
all the famous. Let's see what you're doing.
I don't know. I'm just dropping a bunch of titles. Hopefully the folks at home can recognize, and not some of the more obscure ones. But yeah, no, I instantly fell in love with the medium, and I was like, man, I need to keep looking for better mangas, for better, just stuff to read and get into and stuff. So I think that had a lot to do with it. Just being kind of into that. And then growing up, my parents both won Emmys for writing on the animated series on HBO Spawn.
No way.
That's kind of a random connection. It was, you know, I was like 9 when this happened.
Wait a minute. So, rewind. Hold on a second. So your folks, your parents are also filmmakers.
Well, they're writers. Yeah. Some I kind of glossed over a little bit. Yeah, but they both write. They've been in the industry for a while now, and Spawn was one of their big kind of claim to fames. And so that happened back when I was like 9 years old.
Yeah, I remember watching that. Oh my god.
Right.
Gee
yeah. And it's you know it's not stuff that you want your 9-year-old watching, but it's still
true.
It's still, you know, was something I was like, oh man, like this is badass. Like I want to be able to do this someday, you know, and it just kind of stuck with me. And so now I, you know, all these years later, and I'm just trying my hand at basically putting a world together that I'm passionate about, and you know, that's dark, has dark tones, similar to Spawn in that sense, but you know, it's got a whole different kind of world of its own, you know, in terms of it's not that similar in the sense of the concept, I guess.
But as far as the gothic nature of the genre,
for sure.
No,
it's definitely,
everybody pulls inspiration from things that exist.
Of course.
Nothing new under the sun.
And I love Todd McFarlane. I mean, he was the one who did the modern design for Venom, and I fucking love Venom. So excuse my language.
No, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna let one of those slip. But yeah, no, I love that whole style. So that definitely, if you do get a chance to check it out, you know, whoever's watching this, and Dre, I'm sure you got to look. You know, some of the artwork is definitely inspired by those kind of like dark tones that you see in Spawn or something.
Yeah, when I saw it, I got right when I started seeing some of the images and some of the, we'll talk about that artwork because I'm very impressed with it.
Oh, of course.
Right when I started looking at just a few of the sample pages that I glanced across, I got that Spawn / Darkstalkers vibe from back in the day. I don't know if you ever read Darkstalkers, but
I'm familiar with that.
Yeah. And it gave me that kind of vibe with the colors and the shading and the and how the characters are formed and how they look. Gave me that kind of vibe. So I'm like okay, like I see where inspiration can be pulled, but it also looks real fresh. So with that in mind, let's talk about it a little bit. Let's talk about. I'll make sure I pronounce it right. Daemonic.
Yeah. Demonic, however, you know, I leave it up to the reader, because honestly, there is no right way to pronounce it. You know, it's kind of the AE symbol is something that throws a lot of people off. And in fact, it wasn't, the title was just Daemonic originally. And unfortunately, there were a couple films that came out, one in like 2007, another in like 2015 or something, both called Daemonic. So I was like, you know what? Let me just shake it up just for my own sake. And it actually ended up looking cooler. You know, I kind of like the way it looks in terms of just the title. And and it just, totally. So I felt like that was the right direction. Actually, my mom was the one who kind of helped me make that call. She's been invaluable in this experience. Yeah, I mean, she's, you know, like I said, a professional at this. So like I just having her in my corner to kind of lean on, get her ear, have her read my stuff, go over it with me and make sure it's all tightened up. And, you know, she's basically my editor on this. So it's been incredible and just a dream to be able to do that with like my mom. You know?
This is like a family affair.
Right.
Almost. That is really cool. Like, see, I'm the only, like there's other writers in my family, but most of them are poets. Most of my family are poets or musical musical writers and musical singers and stuff like that. But I'm the only one in my it's pretty cool. But I'm the only one that's a creative writer. I'm the only one that's a creative writer. So I mean, now like some of my younger family members, they see me doing it, so now they're like, "Oh, I want to try." You know, I mean, but as far as established, I'm the only one. So it's pretty much like, "Hey, I better." Man. I'm a one-man army.
Right. But it sounds like you're you know, inspiring the younger generation. So that's about all we can ask for. You know what I mean? Like that's amazing in itself. So keep it up. You know? Seriously.
Oh, I gotta grind. Oh yeah.
Of course.
Gotta keep that chugging. Gotta keep that rolling. But yeah. So tell me about your crew, because I saw on the cover you got quite a few names on there. So are you the head writer of
yeah?
Daemonic?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
So back in college, actually, this is when this project was even created. It was originally supposed to be like a TV series. I wrote it as like a TV series. I was in like a television writing class. I was like, oh, this sounds like a cool concept for a show. And just wrote like a pilot for it. And over the years, I just kept adding on to it, and it started building into this whole big world. It's like, how can I create something, like what medium would lend itself best to a world this big? And naturally, I mean, like, obviously I love comics, I love manga, so I was like, that seems like the route to go. So last 2 years ago, actually, I just was joining a bunch of Facebook groups and looking for artists. I was just basically wanting to do some concept work. Ran into this guy, Von Randall. I hope that's how you pronounce his name. I've actually, oddly enough, never spoken to him on the phone or even in voice chat or through, like a Zoom call, but we seem to get each other. We just literally all Facebook Messenger. I sent him some, reference images. I sent him some concepts. I was like, hey, can you get me some characters, mocked up? And the second I got something back from him, literally the first image I saw, chills like all over my body, man. It was incredible. I was like, this is the guy. I need to go with him. And so, I don't know if anybody out here has heard of him, but he's done stuff like Terra Olympus, Catalyst, Daughter of Wolves, No One Left to Kill, a bunch of others. And he's definitely somebody, if you're in the indie scene, you've probably seen his work before without realizing it's him. He definitely has a very distinct style, as you can see, with this. And I was looking for something that like could be comparable to like a manga style, but also take on a life of its own and have some like maybe, traditional American comic elements as well. So, because I love both mediums, and again, like I wanted it to be unique, take on a life of its own, have its own style, and Vaughn crushes it in that sense. So he's the artist I went with. Have not been disappointed.
He's doing good work.
He's just getting better and better too. Like the stuff he's coming out with now, like we're working on part 2 right now, and he's just been, again, impressing me every step of the way. And I just, again, have not been disappointed. For the colors, I got this guy, Nestor Radula. He's, I didn't mention it, but Nestor is also from the Philippines. That's where Vaughn's from. Okay. Great artists out in the Philippines. Don't sleep on the Philippines now. They got good folks out there doing real good work. And so Nestor, he's actually somebody Vaughn put me in touch with, and he's been coloring for a few years, just kind of doing, indie stuff, like maybe, what's it called? Dang, why can't I think of this word?
Because you're on camera.
Commissions, exactly. Right. Yeah, the lights are getting to me. He's kind of somebody who does like commissions and like fan art, but I saw his coloring and I was like, man, this actually, it's like so cinematic, the way he does his lighting and the shading and everything like that. It makes it come to life in the way that I really appreciate. Yeah, absolutely. Like, like when you read this, it feels like you're, reading like a film almost. You're watching a movie, and that's absolutely, that was like the tone I totally wanted to go for. So Nestor nailed it in that sense. And so I got lucky with these two. And then Nikki Powers, somebody who's been at the, been lettering in the game again for, a few years. She's up and coming. I found her and I was like, if you can do this, I asked kind of a lot from her for these letters. I was hoping for kind of to go in an interesting direction with the lettering, but I realized like, you gotta find like the right letter, and she ended up doing it for me. So it worked out. It worked out in that sense. So and again, like I said, my mom came on to help edit it, and that's essentially brilliant. The team you see on the book.
It's brilliant. Wow, that's excellent. It's always good to have a strong crew. Like me, I am an army of two. Nice. Do the writing, production, editing, direction, storyboards, and my artist is a good friend of mine named Federico. And he is an artist, a letterer, a colorer. He's a jack of all trades. He's tremendous. Like, he's helped me produce so far 5 issues. He's helped me produce nice. 5 issues so far, and we got, for this story arc that we're doing, still got 3 more issues to produce from this story arc. And wow. So having a strong crew makes all the difference. It makes all the difference.
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. I mean, yeah, your project wouldn't move forward without it. So it's imperative. Absolutely.
Yeah, you gotta have a strong crew, and I'm glad you're able to put them out there like that. That's great. That's great. So,
Totally.
tell me a little bit about the story of Daemonic. Protagonist. Now, you don't have to, do all the spoilers and nothing like that, but you just give me like who the main gist is, characters, and all that good stuff.
For sure. So Demonic Part 1 is the excuse me. Demonic Part 1 is the part that just released this last June. And that's been making its rounds on sort of like indie circuits and message boards and stuff like that, which is also why I'm here. So again, appreciate the bringing me on.
Anytime for an expose, for sure.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. But no, so Demonic itself, the overarching story is basically, it's like an epic that's basically about what the world would look like if demons, quote unquote, were just running rampant and controlled like all things, like our global elite, our politicians, kind of in the background without us knowing, without us being perceptive of it. Yeah, but not like the traditional like hooved and horned, snarling demons that we think of, like, from like biblical stuff, but it's more just like
philosophical then.
Yeah, but then actually though, philosophical, but also physical in a way. They're essentially like ethereal manifestations of humanity's worst natures. So like over time, hatred, fear, despair, all of that stuff kind of creates dark energy that if it like amasses enough, it can become sentient. And
I like
basically that's what a demon is.
Wow.
You know what I mean, in this world.
I like that.
So I try to get as literal as I could, you know what I mean, with it, to try and evoke some kind of like visceral imagery there. But
no, but that's like I've been around the block quite a few times, and that is unique to me, because usually when you think of something that's like a monster or a creature or whatever the case may be, it's usually either it's actually something terrorizing someone, or it's always in somebody's head. But you found a way to combine both of those elements. As in, they are the creators of their own demons, or their own monsters, their own...
You stole the tagline.
Yeah.
You stole the tagline. That's on there.
It is?
Yeah. No, but you got it. But that's exactly what it... So
I like that. That's cool.
For sure. So that's the world it is. And then, and I'm a huge history buff. So like, we will span all different moments across history. Examples, obviously taking in examples of like these pivotal moments that basically we'll see that were influenced by these like demonic forces, because we think of things like the Crusades or, just big moments in history, World War II, like the Holocaust and stuff. It's like, that's some evil stuff, what I mean? Like, so there, and if we were to look at it in like a supernatural way, it offers some explanation of like how people can do these like really effed up things. And especially so Demonic Part 1 is specifically, well, not Part 1, I guess I should say, all of Demonic focuses specifically, it's kind of the jumping off point is in ancient Egypt with the death of a pharaoh. So I have a lot of Egyptian history involved. It's all ingrained. The Egyptian imagery is all throughout the book.
Wow.
And without spoiling anything, I mean, I'm trickling in all these little tidbits so that when you do go back to chapter 1 after reading, the ending, you'll be like, oh snap, like he was setting this up from day one, So I love that type of storytelling.
As do I.
Get ingrained with like little details and things that can be overlooked at first, but then you realize, oh, that was significant in this way. So, I try to add that as much as I can without going overboard.
Yeah, Tyler, that is some of my favorite kind of storytelling. What I like to call the breadcrumbs. The breadcrumb storytelling. I love it. And it's one of the things that I inculcated in my own writing as well. Like you'll see something and you'll be like, oh, whatever, and go past, and then you'll go 4 or 5 issues later, like, hey, wait a second.
Right.
Oh snap. Like that moment. I always love those moments. But as you said, it can be done the right way, or it can get out of control. Like one is like, I'll give you an example of one that's out of control. I don't know if you've read Doomsday Clock. If you read Doomsday Clock.
No, I haven't. I gotta check that out though.
I was really looking forward to this book because sequel to Watchmen, all that stuff.
Of course.
It does the breadcrumbs the wrong way. It stretches it so thin. I'm just like, bruh, you could have did something in between this, because like it's dropping and dropping and dropping. I'm like, okay, payoff.
Right.
And the payoff was so disappointing. And first I thought it was just me because, you know, as a writer, we have critical eyes and all other stuff. I said, maybe it's just me because I'm a crazy man that writes every day for years.
Yeah.
Then I started seeing what like readers said. And they were like, we don't get it. I'm like, oh, thank you. I'm like, okay. I'm not insane.
Yeah, no, Alan Moore usually is on top of that kind of stuff. He's a phenomenal writer. So I'm
surprised. Yeah. He is, but I don't know. Maybe studios got involved. I have no idea what went wrong. Because like halfway through the book, I want you can check it out, but it hooks me. It hooks me. Halfway through, I'm like, oh, snap. This is dope. And then the third act, I'm like, wait, what?
Thumbs on.
I'm wait, what that got to do with, like, wait, why? And then it just took me out of it. Like, my wife saw me reading and she was like, are you okay? I'm like, no, I'm not okay. Yeah.
Dang.
But I like what you're doing. I like that. I like that setup. It's one of my favorite things in the world. That is I look forward to seeing how all that plays out. That is amazing. Definitely. So you're under the Underscape Publishing, right?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. And just before we move on to that, I also wanted to answer the question. I kind of got loose, into the loose, but I'll get into like part one. So part one specifically follows this young kid named Isaac Moreno. He's a high school senior, living in suburban Alaska. Obviously,
I wonder who that is.
Right. Gotta put some truth back there. You always speak from your truths, right? So I decided to write from a place that was personal to me. Obviously, going up back and forth in Alaska, I decided to say, you know what, this kid is living exclusively in Alaska because there's just something unique about that kind of story. I don't think we've heard much about like a main character from Alaska before. It's kind
of like what 30 Days of Night. That's the only thing.
Right. Which was also a great book. And I don't know if you watched the movie or it was a graphic novel first. Obviously,
I've read the book and I saw the movie. The book's better.
Which is usually the case. Well, that's neither here nor there. Essentially, Isaac, after a bad day of school, so he grew up without a father, and one day after a bad day of school, he's actually confronted by the ghost of his father, and he basically, without any words being spoken, he leaves behind this imprisoned demon named Daemonic, and essentially this demon is like, supposed to be the key to unlocking, humanity's like path to salvation or something like that.
Got it.
Or is also the reason why he can lead them down to the path of destruction. So it's got some Hellboy themes there where it's Hellboy. Where are we gonna have to rely on this like demonic hellish looking being to basically save mankind, or are we gonna reject them and essentially end up creating our own demise ourselves? So this is the start of that. It just goes through that process, and again, without saying too much, it's essentially it's embarking him on this journey, and he has a choice of whether he's going to accept this destiny or reject it. And so we don't want to see him accept it right away, right? So it goes back and forth. But eventually, I like to think he will do right by his ancestors and the world at large. But that's essentially what part one's about. So yes. So now we can get into the next question. I just had to get that in.
No. I'm glad. Please, by all means, cut me off, please. Definitely. Yes. But before we move on, do you know how long this story arc is going to be? Do you have a number of issues already that you want to put together?
So part one is 56 pages. And that basically is just part one of 6 parts.
Okay.
And that so basically part one is going to be 6 parts long, and then there are going to be 3 volumes that are all 6 parts apiece.
I see what you're doing.
You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're doing.
So without trying, you know what I mean? Like, so there will be 6 pieces each, 3 different parts. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you.
So it's going to be a long, run.
It's going to be a heck of an arc. That's
yeah,
dope.
yeah.
That's
Definitely.
dope. That's dope.
Definitely.
Cool beans. Excellent. So thank you for bringing that all to the
Absolutely.
lights. That's
Absolutely.
excellent. So Underscape Publishing. So is break that down for me. What's happening there?
So Underscape is something last year that I put together just while I was looking at different methods to essentially publish this this comic. And I just thought to myself, it'd be great to get signed on to a publisher, but what's the best route for me to A, just get it out there, and B, also have as much control over it as possible. And that was really just self-publishing and creating sort of my own publishing house in that sense.
Yep.
And so that's what Underscape kind of turned into. And while I was putting it together, I'm in touch with other artists or, other indie writers, creators, etc. And a couple of them were like, hey, we hear, we see rumblings of what you're doing and what you're working on. In the future, if you ever want to collab, I was like, hey, I'm putting together this publishing company, and I don't, necessarily want people to like sign their lives over, but if we can all like start building this coalition of just having, ownership of our stuff, like being able to keep things in-house and also have the ability, because like I said, I'm out here in LA, so I do take meetings with agents and studio peeps and stuff like that. So any of those resources that I can help provide to other people in this indie universe, I mean, that's what this is all about. Yeah. So I set up a website, I have people reaching out, and if anybody watching this wants to reach out, just to collab or work with, or even just have a conversation about this stuff, visit underscape.com. I'll spell it out. It's UNDERSCAEPE. So Underscape with an E after the A, .com. So yeah, I mean, yeah, and you're you're doing your thing too. You got your Brutal World Comics, so it's a similar setup, right? I'm sure you're just basically putting yourself out there, and if you got people who want to join up, that's essentially the vibe. So
it's the exact same thing. Everything Absolutely. You were saying, my brain was like, yep, and that's the same reason why I started Brutal Planetcomics. It's the exact same reason. I wanted to control my own destiny. I wanted to I wanted to have creative control over my own writings, my own scripts. I wanted to have control over things that I love and that I have passion for. I'd hate to have to write it and then submit it to somebody else that does not understand my vision, and then have them put red lines all through it. That's not my idea of a good time.
Oh, not at all.
At all. But everything you're doing, everything you say with Underscape Publishing, I don't even need to say anything. It's amazing. It's great. That's exactly what it's supposed to be doing. So we talked about Daemonic #1. So you're working on #2 now.
That's right.
So that's what we're working on now is #2. So how far along, once again, no need for spoilers, but how far along are you in the creative process of #2?
So #2, luckily enough, it's all essentially illustrated. The next step is getting it colored. So that's essentially like, it's on me to finish my reference documents for my colorist. I'm actually under the gun a little bit on that. So when I jump off with you, that's what I'm gonna work on finishing this weekend.
The grind never ends.
It never ends.
It don't
for
end.
Sure. But yeah, no, it's so it's illustrated up to like 113 pages, which is on top of the 56 that were in here. And so yeah, I mean that's kind of exciting. It should be hopefully done by the end of this year. I didn't realize though, the process, obviously this is my first sort of foray into this, but I mean, and also technology has helped out a lot with this. I'm sure this process was way harder just 10 years ago even.
You ain't got to tell me.
Right. No, I have so much respect for the folks who you guys who've been doing it for as long as you have been. So that's incredible. Keep it up, man. But now we have a little bit kind of an easier time with technology and stuff like that. So, but still the back and forth, there's a lot of it. And if you want to make sure it is exactly how you want it to be, and again, luckily, I've got a guy like Vaughn who is super receptive to just all the notes that I give him. And again, he'll take something I say and run with it, and even add some stuff that I was like, oh, wow, I wasn't even considering that, but it totally fits the story and actually makes it better. So having somebody like that I've been able to work with is just awesome.
It's imperative.
Definitely.
It's imperative to have a crew like that that sees your vision and can improve upon it.
For sure. For sure. Because
I'm speechless. Everything you're saying is exactly what I would say.
Oh, well, as the old adage goes, it's like, two heads are better than one or whatever. Like that. I mean, and in a lot of cases, that's exactly true. That's absolutely what has been happening. I have this world that I've been working on for so long, but the second somebody else comes in and kind of has the suggestion that actually works, that you have no idea how amazing that feels as somebody who, created this world, and now somebody's like, oh, this is a cool world, but let me add to this, and let me, that's part of inspiration. That's part of collaboration. That's part of, the creative process in general. And so it's just, I mean, it's a dream. Man. It's a dream. I mean, like, what it is, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah.
Like years ago when I came up with the concept of my first comic line called Trouble the Rhythm Within, which basically it's a story about a teenage kid who ends up getting affected by a mutagen, who then gets different powers based on the genre of music he listens to.
Oh, that's dope.
And
that's dope.
So when I was coming up with the abilities, and I wanted them to be like both what people view as stereotypical and emotionally connecting. So when I was coming up with the designs for the transformations, and I was like, hey, if he's listening to rock, I want him to get super strength and adrenaline and stuff like that, whatever.
Right.
And so I got to hip hop, right? And so when I got to hip hop, I was like, okay, hip hop is gangster, it's hard. I want him to get an armored skin. So when I was developing the armored skin, one of my my artists, he's like, it should be neo-punk. He's like, maybe it should be neo-punk. Like, give him like gears and stuff like that. I'm like, oh my god. I was like, oh my god. I was like, yo, I can replace his elbows and his kneecaps with like gears, like a Tin Man. Like all that stuff start coming up. I'm like, oh my god, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Totally. Like, sometimes it's just one suggestion is all it takes, Yeah.
One.
Yeah.
Right. And then that changed my entire dynamic of how he would function. All this stuff. And like,
totally,
it is so imperative to have a good team. Like, my god, is it? Put that on my gravestone. Have a good team. Imperative! Exclamation point. Forget my name. Yeah. Just put that on there. But that's great. That's amazing.
Remember, Dre had a great team.
Yeah, that's it.
If anything else, he had a great team, man.
He had a great team. Touch nothing else. That's great. That's great. That's great. That's so great. I'm so glad to see how your projects are moving forward and working out. That's amazing.
So like I said, part 2 we're working on right now should be done by the end of the year. Stay tuned for that, obviously. And I'm sure you'll put some links and stuff in the description below. Folks want to get in touch and check things out. So
absolutely,
yeah, man. So that's what currently is going on. As well as some other concept stuff that I'm also now getting teams together for those as well. So I want to dip my hand into this is my baby for sure.
Of course.
But I actually, like I said, I've been working with some other folks on their concepts, and so I'm putting together a team for some other stuff that I can't really mention right now. But I'm excited about that as well. Okay. So stay tuned for that too. Underskate Publishing, we're growing, baby. We're growing. It's about to come out of nowhere. Take the whole league by storm, baby.
Take it by storm. Like, it's ripe for the pickings. The big two are falling harder than the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
And the whole digital realm too has been shaking things up like no other. And then obviously with the pandemic, I mean, comic stores were really hurting for a while. I mean, I got this local comic store, Golden Apple, right here in LA, that actually, when the pandemic kind of slowed down earlier this year, I went and visited, and they were like finally putting book signing events back on and stuff like that. Yeah, for sure. Which was nice to see. And it was nice to see the support that people were just like itching to get back out there and get back into comic stores and stuff like that. So, by no means is the print world dead. You know what I mean?
Oh no.
But it's definitely making an interesting transition. So I'm excited to see where that's going.
Yeah, and like you said, like I always say in a lot of my videos, support your local comic shops, because
absolutely
those are institutions. Those institutions, like I have a local one that I've been going to for decades. It's called Alliance Comics, and a couple weeks ago we had free comic book day for the first time in you know, since COVID and all that stuff.
Right.
And to see how so many people showed up for it, I was super excited to just see that it's back up on his feet and, you know, and is making moves. And now, and I was talking with the owner, like me, and we talk a lot and all that stuff. And like, so now the indie section is getting a little bit bigger and everything. So I'm like, hey, this is where it needs to be. Like, as much as I dislike the big two right now for what they're producing, support back issues as much as you can, because back issues is what keeps the comic shops running. That's what keeps them.
It's a whole economy.
Yeah,
it's a whole economy, man.
It keeps them going. And so like I go there, like I got a whole wall full of novels up here. But I went and got me just some not new, but old back issues that maybe I haven't read in 20 years, or something that just became a novelization because they just decided to put all the issues together. Support the local comic shops. Lord Jesus, man, got
100%. Can't stress that enough. For real, though.
Absolutely. So anyway, Tyler, this has been a huge pleasure. It's been a huge pleasure talking and meeting with you today. So everybody that's checking out the vid, I'm going to leave all the great stuff Tyler's been talking about in the description section below, baby. Go and check them out. Go and check out everything they're doing at Underscape. Check out Daemonic. Check out his Facebook. All that great stuff. Keep in touch with him. Holla at him. Tell him how great he is.
Appreciate that. Yeah, we're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. My Twitter's a little lacking, but you know, I'm trying, man. I'm not a social media genius or anything like that, so I'm trying. But yeah, it's all Daemonic GN. That's DAEMONICGN at all the social media stuff. So again, Dre, Brutal World Comics, thank you so much for having me on, bro. This has been awesome.
Oh, no, the pleasure has been all mine. So all the folks at home, I'm Dre, the Brute Daniels, and follow me on all those dope social media links that you see below my face. Click them on my face. But anyway, once again, Tyler, thank you so much for making the time. And everybody else, I will catch you all next time. Also, if you want to support my channel, check out spinwiz.com or download the Spinwiz app and check out my comic series, Trouble. It was written with a lot of love, and it was definitely my favorite comic series to write. I've also written it in English and in Spanish, so whatever floats your boat, I got it for you. Thanks again, and check it out.